Good day everyone, welcome to another amazing section with the Elite Tutor. In today's video, we are going to be looking at an important concept. And we are going to be looking at the concept of approximation. We are going to be looking at the concept of approximation. So firstly, when we hear the word approximation, what do we mean by that concept? When we hear the word approximation, approximation has to do with finding a value that is close to the exact answer. Approximation has to do with finding a value that is close to the exact answer. And most times we make use of approximations when the calculations are too complex. Now, when trying to solve approximation, there are two things you need to know. Now, the first one you need to know, you need to understand that numbers within 0 to 4, they are rounded down. Right? And numbers between 5 to 9, those numbers we call them, they are what? Rounded up. We round up numbers between 5 to 9 while we round down numbers between 0 to 4. Now we're going to be solving some questions that will help our understanding. Please follow closely. Now we have the first question. We have approximate 47.63 to the nearest whole number. Now we have 47.63 to the nearest whole number. Now, how do we solve this kind of question? Now, the first thing we look at for, they are asking us to approximate this to the nearest whole number. The first thing we look at for the number before the decimal point. The first thing you look at for the number before the decimal point. The number before the decimal point is 47. Having seen that the number before our decimal point is 47, now we look at the number after the decimal point. While we're looking at the number after the decimal point, we look at the number after the decimal point to see if the number falls between 0 to 4, which are rounded down, and 5 to 9, which are rounded up. Now let me say a little secret. When we say numbers that fall between 0 to 4, they are rounded down, we are simply saying that those numbers, it has no effect. We are simply saying that it will still remain constant. But when we say numbers that fall between 5 to 9, they are going to increase by 1, and we are going to see how that plays. Now we are saying to the nearest whole number, we are going to look at for the number before the decimal. And the number before the decimal is 47. Now the number after the decimal is what? 0.63. Which is the same thing as what? Our 0.63. Now, the first digit after the decimal is 6. And 6 falls between 5 to 9. Since 6 falls between 5 to 9, we are going to increase 7 by 1. Because numbers between 5 to 9, we call them the numbers that round up. So they are going to what? Increase by 1. So because the number after our decimal is 6, if the number after our decimal fell between 0 to 4, to the nearest whole number, our final answer would have been 47. But the number after the decimal is 6, and 6 falls within the number of 5 to 9, that means our final answer will be 48. Our final answer will be 48. Now let's look at the next question. We have question 2. We are asked to approximate 92.4 to the nearest whole number. So we are going to approximate 92.4 to the nearest whole number. Same rule, same pattern we applied for the first question. We look at the number before the decimal. The number before the decimal here is 92. Before we can conclude that 92 is our final answer, we look at for the number after the decimal. The number after the decimal is 0.4, which is the same as our 0.4. So we look at the number after the decimal. The number after the decimal falls between a range of 0 to 4. And numbers that falls within the range of 0 to 4, we call those numbers, they are rounded down. Those numbers, they are rounded down. What does that mean? It simply means that it has no effect on the number before the decimal. It simply means that the number before the decimal remains constant. So our final answer, 92.4 to the nearest whole number, our final answer will be 92. At Elite Tutor, we don't rush approximation. We take approximation step by step. Now let's look at another interesting example. Please, I want you to follow closely. Now we have example 3. We have approximate 3.142 to 1 decimal place. Approximate 3.142 to 1 decimal place. Now, when we say 1 decimal place, we are simply saying the first digit after our decimal. When we say 2 decimal place, we are simply saying the second digit after our decimal. When we say 3 decimal place, we are simply saying the third digit after our decimal. That is very important. That is rule number 1. Now, for example, let's look at this. Say approximate 3.142 to 1 decimal place. Now, to 1 decimal place, this will be 3.1. Why is it 3.1? Because the first digit after our decimal is 1. But before we can conclude that our final answer is 3.1, we look out for the next digit after our 1 decimal place. For our 1 decimal place, it is 1. The next digit after 1 is 4. And by the time we look at our rule, numbers that fall between 0 to 4, they are rounded down. And since they are rounded down, they have no effect. If this were to be 3.152, for example, if you have an example like 3.152, if you are to take this to 1 decimal place, our answer would have been 3.2. Why is it 3.2? Because the number after 1, which is a decimal place, is 5. And 5 falls between numbers between 5 to 9, so it's going to increase by 1. Hope you're following and you're understanding. Now, and then the final question for this session, we are going to be looking at question 4. We have question 4. Question 4 says approximate 6.789 to 2 decimal place. We are asked to approximate 6.789 to 2 decimal place. Like I said, our first decimal place is when we say first decimal place is the first number after the decimal. Second decimal place, the second number, that's the first 2 numbers after the decimal. So by that definition, we see that to 2 decimal place, this will be 6.78. Now you ask yourself, can we conclude that this is our final answer? For you to conclude that this is your final answer, to 2 decimal place, you look at the second digit. To 2 decimal place, you have 7, 8. Now, the number after 8 is 9. Since the number after 8 is 9, and 9 falls between numbers between 5 to 9, so it's going to increase by 1. Since the number after 8 is 9, and 9 falls between numbers between 5 to 9 within this range, that means our 8 is going to increase by 1. So our final answer will be 6.79. And this is to 2 decimal place. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video. In our next video, we are going to be looking at significant figures. Don't miss that video. Thank you.